From a long line of, well, actually not that long line of flagship V12 supercars, the Lamborghini Murcielago served in one of the most special roles in the automotive world. Destined to be a poster car icon and desired by millions, the pressure was on to keep the Lamborghini legend alive as the company moved into the new millennium. Following on from the much-loved but rather raw Diablo, the Murcielago wasn't just Lamborghini planting a flag in the 2000s, but was also, perhaps more importantly, the first new car developed by the firm after its acquisition by Audi in 1998. The hope was that Audi would at least provide some stability that Chrysler and Megatech, yes, that's actually a company that owned Lamborghini in the 90s, never could. But alongside the optimism was a lingering fear that German oversight would stifle the characteristic exuberance that defined the nameplate. The Murcielago, however, atomized the concern, mixed it with air and promptly blew it up. It was as mad as ever. The original Murcielago boasted a 6.2-litre naturally aspirated V12, pushing just over 570 horsepower to all four wheels, a little Audi influence creeping in there. But most Lamborghini of all was the looks. I mean, just look at it. It looks insane. I usually don't dwell much on the styling of cars because it's such a subjective thing, but the Murcielago deserves the discussion. And I want you to join in the comments too. I think we can all agree, at the very least, its looks have become iconic now. Certainly for anyone around my age, it's kind of the Lamborghini. It's a cartoonishly large and bulbous, yet angularly menacing shape. Frankly, I've never thought it was a particularly pretty car, but it's one of those rare designs that achieves more by not being pretty. It's a car to be feared more than lusted after. Well, maybe they were hoping both. Beyond its chiseled jaw and vertical hawk eyes, the sharp edges melt away into a podgy, oddly proportioned backside that only works thanks to the badge. It's this aspect of the car that quickly exposes the DIY kits and conversions. I want to be clear that I like the way the Murcielago looks. It's a true automotive icon. But it is strange, isn't it? Its heavy-set appearance, however, was at least honest, as the Murcielago tipped the scale at over 1,800 kilograms in its original guise, more than a standard spec Audi A6 of its time. And so naturally, they took it racing. From the president of Automobili Lamborghini, quote, "The presence of this new racing Lamborghini at international sports car events will be a perfect opportunity to showcase the competitive and performance advantages of the Murcielago." Sounds great. What could possibly go wrong? The first iteration of the Murcielago race car was unveiled at the Frankfurt Motor Show in 2003. It was a joint project between Audi Sport and Reiter Engineering. Audi Sport were crushing European endurance racing at this point in time, and despite the slightly unsuitable platform, a Lamborghini GT car would fit very neatly into VW Group's motorsport domination desires. Though much like other companies in the GT racing game, notably Ferrari, the Murcielago RGT, as it would be known, would be developed as a customer racing machine, meaning the company sells them to racing teams as opposed to racing the cars themselves. But for the Murcielago to be at all appropriate for GT class racing, it would need some changes. First and foremost, it needed to meet the requirements of the class, which meant ditching the all-wheel drive system and sending power exclusively to the rear wheels. The engine too would need fiddling with, requiring air restrictors to meet power rules. While the engine was fundamentally the same as in its road-going counterparts, the RGT would carry a smaller displacement of 6 litres as opposed to the 6.2 litres, and growing, of the road car. Beyond this, the car underwent the kinds of modifications you'd expect. New suspension, new aero parts, including a suitably huge rear wing, and as much weight shedding as was feasibly possible. So much weight was lost, in fact, that the car managed to achieve the FIA GT1 class limit of 1,100 kilograms and even retained its iconic doors. Despite a planned debut at Monza, the final round of the 2003 FIA GT Championship, the RGT would have to wait until round 2 of the 2004 season to actually hit the track in anger. Run by Reiter Engineering, Audi's partner firm in the RGT's development, Oliver Gavin and Peter Cox scored a podium on the car's debut before the team bowed out for the remainder of the season. French team Dams purchased 2 RGTs, which were entered from round 8 at Imola. This effort didn't see the immediate promise of the semi-factory Reiter team, with the number 26 car floundering at the back of the field, and the number 24 embarking on a series of gearbox destruction campaigns. Even when it was working, Dams weren't able to get a competitive single lap time out of the car, let alone a full race result. Across the Atlantic, the RGT contested a few rounds of the 2004 American Le Mans Series with Krone-Barber Racing. On paper, the car's performance there may look like a big step up, but the truth is that the GTS Classic contested was pretty barren. Only 5 teams contested it, and Krone-Barber Racing came 4th. The team they beat only contested a single race. In addition to the RGT, a second Murci GT car materialized in 2004 called the RG1, built specifically for the Japan Lamborghini Owners Club, or JLOC for short. It was designed to meet the specifications of the Super GT Championship, with cars initially entering the top GT500, later GT1 class, but also finding their way into the lower GT300 class as well by 2005. It would actually be one of these GT300 cars that scored the Murci's first win in Japan at the 2006 Suzuka 300km in the hands of Marco Apicella and Yasutaka Hinoi. Later the same year, a GT1 spec RG1 won its class at the Okayama 1000km in the hands of Koji Yamanishi, Yasutaka Hinoi, and Hisashi Wada. Despite a long Super GT campaign comprising a total of 72 entries across 6 years, these 2 races were the Murcielago RG1's only class victories in the championship. The Murci was a fun addition, but rarely ever a serious contender. The story was much the same in Europe, with the RGT failing to make any significant progress in the FIA GT Championship between 2005 and 2008, regularly landing Lamborghini at the bottom of the manufacturer's standings and Reiter Engineering mid-pack at best, thanks mostly to teams simply contesting fewer rounds than them. The 2008 Le Mans Series was a little better, with the Russian IBP Spartak racing team scoring 1 third-place finish and 2 second-place finishes at Spa and Silverstone, managing to beat one of the much more advanced Aston Martin DBR9s and Corvette C6Rs on pure merit. But like the ALMS, LMS's GT1 grid wasn't very big, with only 3 teams contesting the full season. The RGT made some appearances at the 24 Hours of Le Mans too, but again failed to make a big impact, with its most notable incident being an accident in qualifying for the 2007 event. The crash was bad enough that JLOC, who were running the car, needed to borrow a new chassis from Dams for the race. Come race day, however, it took all of 2 laps for the car to nuke its gearbox, making it the race's first retirement. Not exactly one for the history books. 2009, however, was even worse for the JLOC Le Mans entry, qualifying last thanks to mechanical trouble and retiring on lap 1. It literally cannot get worse than that. Well, I suppose they could have not made the start, but it's pretty bad. 2009 saw the RGT disappear from FIA GT, but IBP Spartak Racing continued to contest the Le Mans Series and managed to achieve the unthinkable. They won a race! At the season's opening round in Catalonia, Peter Cox and Roman Rusinov finished in first place. Granted, it wasn't exactly a stacked field, only 4 cars contested the GT1 class in the event, but they still beat 2 Saleen S7Rs and a Corvette C6R. This marked the RGT's first and only race win in an international GT racing event. But despite the newfound success, it was clear that the RGT wasn't really advertising Lamborghini in the way they'd hoped, and with the car now being several years out of date anyway, the time had come for the beast to evolve. Reiter set about reworking a newer Murcielago LP674 to create their next generation GT racing machine. Now boasting a 6.5 litre V12, freshly reworked aero and suspension, and built to meet the FIA's new for 2010 GT1 rules, the LP670 RSV was built not just to keep Lambo on the grid, but to finally deliver the Murcielago some serious results. In the 2010 FIA GT1 World Championship, the RSV would be run by 2 teams with 2 cars each. Reiter would run cars 24 and 25, while longtime customer allinkle.com, Munich Motorsport, would run cars 37 and 38. FIA GT1 used a 2-race formula, a 1-hour qualifying race and a 1-hour championship race. The top 3 in the qualifying race scored championship points, and points extended to the top 10 finishers for the race proper. While neither team started the season particularly strongly, Reiter started picking up some podium spots here and there, eventually landing their first win in the race at Spa. It was quickly apparent that the RSV was a major upgrade on the old RGT. Reiter followed this up with a second win in Spain, and despite somewhat spotted performance outside of this, their podium haul and 2 race wins landed them third in the team's championship come season end, though the manufacturers' and drivers' standings were a little less rosy. Le Mans, however, sadly did not see such a significant improvement in 2010, with J-Log fielding a brand new car and managing 138 times more laps than they had done in 2009, but ultimately still succumbing to gearbox failure and ending up stamped with the dreaded DNF. Despite a strong first year, the RSV didn't have the longevity of its predecessor, quickly disappearing over the following couple of years as results in FIA GT1 slipped away through 2011 and 2012. Lamborghini's GT racing ambitions fell into the hands of its Gallardo offerings instead. While the Murcielago may not have set the GT racing world alight in its near decade of competition, I think we can all agree that the sport was a more vibrant place with its presence. The car's sheer absurdity and fabulous V12 scream meant that despite not being the fastest, most successful, most reliable, or really actually particularly good at all, the Murcielago RGT and RSV deserve to be remembered alongside the greater cars it raced against and lost to. Motorsport is a spectacle, and for us spectators, the way these racing machines make us feel may be more important than the score sheets ever could be. And by that metric, the smiles those Murci race cars gave to me make it one of the best GT racing machines ever built. To hear about the car that was doing all the actual winning during this time, you should check out this video here. Thanks for watching. We're close to 100,000 subscribers, so if you made it this far, tap that button. It's free and it means the world. Shout out as always to the wonderful channel members who keep these videos coming. To support Automobilistic directly, you can click the join button below. Thanks again for watching, and until next time, goodbye.